Modern American Canasta is here with a quick start video review of the flow of the game. We're introducing the basics of the game and just how the general game flows and how it could be a really exciting and fun card game. This is created by Dara and Donna Miller-Small. We are the co-authors of Modern American Canasta, the complete guide. One thing that's easy to remember in Canasta is all play goes clockwise. So that's one rule that has no exceptions. To understand the very basics of the game, melds are the building blocks of the game. All melds, no matter where you are in the round, must be 3 or more cards. They could be mixed, which is 1 or 2 wild cards at most, and 2 natural cards, or they could be pure, where they have no wild cards, or they could be all wild cards. If you aren't sure which cards are wild cards, which cards are natural cards, check out our Jumpstart video. We have a full 1-hour video on our YouTube channel, which is basically our first lesson in our series of 4 lessons. If you're looking for virtual lessons, send us an email at modernamericancanasta@gmail.com. We do get your group together and teach over Zoom, as well as have different series for organizations online, and we teach in person. So getting back to the building blocks, those are melds. Every meld always has to have at least 3 cards. If it's a mixed meld or a pure meld, it has to have at least 2 natural cards. And natural cards are numbers like 10 or picture cards, Jack, Queen, King. Canastas are when you build those melds of 3 or more cards to exactly 7. A canasta is exactly 7 cards, and it could be mixed, pure, or wild. And teams work together. You are partners with the player across from you, and you are working together to open, make melds, make canastas, and score points. And the first team to reach 8,500 points wins. I am sitting at the table with the cards in front of us, face open. That would be your seat. Your partner is the woman sitting across from us with the brown hair, and then the blonde woman and the gentleman in the red shirt are partners. On the table, you see the face down cards, which are the stock. 9 cards from the bottom, there's a card turned sideways, and that's the turn card. And the face up cards are the discard pile. So when the game starts, the player, everything goes clockwise. So the player that's next in turn after the dealer, going clockwise, they pick a card. Before they do this, they place all of their 3s on the table face up and take replacement cards. Then after they do that, they discard. Every turn always ends in a discard, and then it's my turn. I pick my 2 3s. I take my 2 3s, I place them face up, and I take replacement cards for them. One way to remember this is 1 for me and 1 for each of my 3s. Before I discard, before I've opened, I always make sure that I have 14 cards, that I picked a card, and then I discard one of them, so now I'm back to 13. When I replace my 3s, I picked a 5, a 10, and a big joker. If you're not sure of the value of the cards or anything like that, this is all discussed in detail in our Jumpstart 1-hour long or so video on our YouTube channel. To make it easier to see the cards and everything, we're going to remove the background of the cartoon players, and we're just going to show you the cards and the face-down cards for each player. And we are not player letter, we're just us, and then the other players in order are player A, B, and C going clockwise. I'm trying to get to what is called opening, which is I have a required point count and a pure meld that meets the requirements to open. So I'm working to getting those together, and there's a lot of rules about that. When first learning, it's a great idea to put your cards in any order that works best for you. Some suggestions are starting with jokers all the way to the left with wild cards. So jokers and 2s are the wild cards. Then aces and 7s, because those you'll see when we get to scoring and into the detailed rules, those are high bonus or penalty cards. Like there's a lot of reward for them. I shouldn't say bonus. 3s are the bonus cards. Aces are either high reward or risk, and same with 7s. And then I go from low to higher cards. So when learning to play, it's a good idea to arrange them this way so you don't have, let's say, a 9 all the way on one side and a 9 in the other, and you don't realize you have a pair. So after I discard the individual 5, then the next person in line going clockwise would be player A. If they had any 3s, they would place them down Then they would pick a card and then either open if they met the requirements of having the minimum count and a pure meld, or they would discard. This continues to player B. They replace any threes if they have, pick, and then discard or open. Now we're back to player C. Since they were the first player to go after the dealer, they don't replace threes now unless they pick them from the stock. They're done with that. They already did that on their last turn. So they're picking and discarding or opening. And now it's our turn. So we have 50 points for the joker, 20 points for the two. When we open, we always open with aces with wild cards, unless we know we could get all 7 aces. So we would have 40 points for those 2 aces. That would be 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 for those 4 cards. If we had a pure meld that gave us, well, we only need 15 points, but if we had a pure meld with either the jack or the queen, then we'd be able to open. So let's see what card we pick. A queen. So now we have our pure meld. So our opening would be, and when I say our, I'm opening, but we're opening for our team. So I'm putting down the joker, the 2 aces. It's a great idea to use jokers or 2s with your aces when you open, because if you open with pure aces and don't close them, there's a big penalty. And my pure is my 30 points for my queens. So that gives me 140. Now I could take that 2 off of that meld and put it down with the 2 jacks. You don't want to do that because you want to keep as many pairs and cards in hand. So you could do something which we're going to describe soon called picking the pack. So after I open, I then discard. Since I was the first to open for my team, after discarding, I take 4 replacement cards. And it's spelled Talon, and you will hear it pronounced to rhyme with salon. You will hear it talon, talon, and talon. So there's many different ways people pronounce it depending on if they're saying it in French. A talon is the claw, and that's how come some people pronounce it that way. However you pronounce it, it are the replacement cards that you pick. The first person to open for either team gets 4, the next person gets 3. I keep those cards in my hand, and I had already discarded, so those are part of my hand for the next turn. If I had picked any 3s at this point, I would not replace them now and wait until my next turn, since my turn ended when I discarded. Play continues clockwise. Players pick and discard. At this point, the opponents might be opening, they may not have enough points yet, or they might not have a pure. On my turn and my partner's turn, we are working to turn those queens and aces and other melds into canastas. So we are keeping cards in hand to pick that pack of face-up cards. And you don't just take the top card, you take that whole juicy pack of cards. My turn starts when I pick from the stock or pick the pack. If the current top card matched a pair I had in hand, I would have been able to put that pair down, show everybody I had the matching pair, and then pick that whole pile of cards. And just to remind you, you don't just take that top card, you get all the cards. Here, I didn't match, and I have 3 7s, so I'm discarding a 7. The reason I did that is because if the round ended, if you have more than 2 aces or more than 2 7s in hand, it's a 1,500 penalty per player per team. So if I have more than 2 7s and my partner has more than 2 7s, it's 1,500 for each of us, so it would be a 3,000 penalty. Play continues to the left, and eventually player C is going to discard a 4. So now I do have a matching pair to that top card. The proper sequence when picking the pack is you place the pair in your hand, face up on the table. You show everyone I have that matching pair. And you'll hear smiles, you'll see smiles from your partner, you'll hear comments from the other players. Etiquette-wise, you're not supposed to talk about the game, but in this case, sometimes people say like, I knew that was going to happen, or something like that when they were nervous about throwing a certain card and you pick the pack. But keep in mind, the more you talk about your cards, and you're not supposed to talk about them with your partner at all, not good etiquette, and you're not supposed to talk about anything about what you have in your hand, the more you comment about the game, the more information you're giving away. So it is supposed to be a game without communication. The only communicating you're doing is with your cards. So you pick up the pair, you put the pile, you put it next to the pair, you take that top card, add it, and then decide what you want to do with the rest of the cards in pack. They are now yours, and you could discard from the cards you originally had in hand or the cards that you just got. If you get a really big juicy pack of a lot of cards, It's a really great idea to put a valid discard off to the side. So as a reminder, you place your matching pair of fours on the table to show you have them. You pick up the whole pack, you add the top card. The remaining cards stay in hand or meld. If you pick the pack, you don't also pick from the stock. It's either one or the other. Now that the discard tray is empty, there are some rules. And canasta is really a game of balance. So when you get a pack of cards, the negative part of that is there's rules of what you can get rid of. You cannot discard an ace, a seven, or a dead card on an empty tray. You also can't discard a wild card, but there's even more restrictions on when you could discard those. So in this case, even though I now have 3 sevens and would get penalized, I can't get rid of that extra 7. The ways a round typically ends is the stock is empty, there's no more cards to pick. One team goes out by ending the round, and in order to do that, they must have 2 canastas. They can't have any of the melds of pure aces, pure sevens, or wild cards that haven't been completed. And they have to be able to meld all cards except their final face-down discard. Or if a team gets a special hand, which we'll go into in other videos. In this case, since we already opened and our partner already had one turn, we no longer can get a special hand, but the other team can. At the end of the round, each team calculates their score, and we really suggest that your group rotates if you have a group of players. One day have it be player A, another week have it be player B. You really reinforce rules by understanding scoring. So in our book, Modern American Canasta, the complete guide, we broke down the components of scoring in a worksheet. So there's your base score and your card count. And we felt by really breaking it down detailed in a worksheet that would help you understand. And then we also provide a separate score sheet, which is just a streamlined version of the rules. Understanding scoring really helps reinforce the rules. Thank you for your support of our small business. Our book's available at Amazon, and we offer discounts for purchase of 8 or more copies. You can email us at modernamericancanasta@gmail.com. And you're invited. We have a 2-year celebration coming up on March 23rd, 2025, to celebrate 2 years since we published our book. You could register by going to the bit.ly in this visual or scanning that QR code. Announcing October 11th and 12th. If you could make it there, you could make it anywhere. Start spreading the news. Our Modern American Canasta Convention is going to New York. It's going to be 2 full days of strategy sessions, social play for prizes, tournament play for cash prizes, continental breakfast every day, buffet lunch, beverages, and a sweet treat. And you get to connect with other players and build our Canasta community. Extend your trip and enjoy the city. Plan a weekend getaway. Details and register on bit.ly/canastacon25. If you're looking to learn canasta, improve your game, check out our book. And if you want tips and tricks and a wonderful visual companion guide, check out Visual Companion Guide for American Mahjong by Dara and Donna. It's based on the official rules in Mahjong Made Easy. Thank you for being part of our Canasta community. We invite you to join us on our Facebook group and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Between now and the next time we see you online, we hope you get all the cards you need in hand. Have a great day.